Am I the asshole for telling a stranger to not touch my baby bump? I 26 am pregnant with my first child. I am 25 weeks pregnant, and the past 2 weeks I've had people come up to me and ask me if they can feel my bump. Why? Why do people think this is an okay thing to ask? Well, I finally snapped today. I was in line waiting to check in at the chiropractor clinic, and this man standing in front of me noticed I was pregnant and asked me if the baby was moving right now. I told him she was moving a little bit. Then he reached his arm out and started feeling my baby bump. I felt so uncomfortable. I yelled at him to never touch a pregnant woman's baby bump, especially without asking. He got upset and quietly called me an asshole and turned around. I got home a little bit ago and told my husband what happened. He told me I should have just let the guy touch my bump quick and that I shouldn't have yelled at him. He said it's not that big of a deal. I probably shouldn't have yelled, but maybe he'll think twice about doing that to another pregnant woman. I am starting to feel bad now though, and don't know if I'm in the wrong. Was I wrong for getting upset he touched my baby bump? Not the asshole. How about some guy touch your husband's ass to see how tight it is? No one can touch you without your matter your age. Not the asshole, but your husband sure is. I mean, what in the eyes wide shut bullshit is this? He told me I should have just let the guy touch my bump quick and that I shouldn't have yelled at him. He said it's not that big of a deal. If some random stranger wanted to touch my wife's baby bump, you can count on me being very firm in telling them to fuck right off. It's your body. Only people who you want touching it are allowed to touch. Full stop. Not at all. My last pregnancy, my sister was a few weeks ahead of me. People would see us together go for her bump. I could see her discomfort. So I would touch their stomachs and gush about how big they were as well. No one touched me, no one touched her again. Between us, she is the much kinder sister. You're allowed to have your space. To prove your point, ask a few females you know to walk up, touch his stuff. He'll change his tune fast. Not the asshole, absolutely not in any way. It's not acceptable to touch a stranger's abdomen uninvited. This does not change suddenly because you're pregnant. In fact, as you have a little person growing in there, I'd go so far as to say that it's less acceptable. Your husband said what? He's down with some rando guy fondling his wife? Not the asshole, and you have every right to insist on body autonomy, pregnant or not. No one should touch you without permission. And I'm giving your husband the side eye. Not the asshole, you are pregnant, not public property. Not the asshole. People shouldn't be touching other people uninvited anyway. You're not a petting zoo, and you should have told him that. And you should tell your husband that. Nata, we need to normalize not touching people without asking first. Pregnant women are people, not vessels for carrying babies. Not the asshole. A pregnant woman's bump is not public property. Frankly, it's weird for a stranger to ask to touch the baby bump of someone they don't know. Emo. But even friends and family should ask before just assuming they have the right. That said, I must have some world-class RBF, because in 3 pregnancies, no one ever asked to touch my baby bump. Not even my boundary-stomping IDGAF in-laws. Not the asshole. Who does that? Who thinks it's okay to touch a woman without her consent? Why does your husband think it's okay to touch any woman without her consent, never mind his wife? I'd be very concerned about him as a father and the likelihood he'll teach your child that strangers touching women without consent is okay. In what other ways is he a misogynist? Not the asshole. I've only experienced one stranger touching my bump, but I grabbed his wrist with a vice grip and held it tightly for a good moment before tossing it back at him. Honestly, it was instinctive, but wow, was it effective. He apologized immediately and said he wasn't thinking, then walked away. It sounds confrontational, but it really wasn't. Really left me feeling in control. I recommend trying it to anyone being touched unwillingly. I've heard of this for some time, but only once had something similar happened to me. In that case it was a friend's 8-year-old daughter, and she asked if she could feel the baby moving. She was a sweet kid, so I was like, yeah sure. Push right here and it will kick back. Does your hubby not realize that some men have a fetish for pregnant nursing women? Or that she has bodily autonomy? What if he'd fondled your vagina or breasts? Where is his line in the sand? When people tried this with my bestie who barely spoke English, I told them it was a very painful 6-pound tumor that's about to burst. Stop the hands immediately. Next, someone touches your belly, reach right out and touch theirs. When they take offense or asks WTF, you look surprised and say either we were playing the touch a stranger inappropriately game. Or grab their crotch. I don't know why strangers and even some acquaintances seem to think this is fine. It is not. You were not wrong. Except when he called you an asshole, you should have said loudly, "Oh, I'm the asshole." The woman who called you out for touching me inappropriately. I am the asshole? You, sir, are the asshole. Not the asshole. You did the right thing. It's the same if a random stranger shows up and wants to touch your stomach normally. It's weird, creepy and invasive of your personal space. Keep telling them to fuck off, but if they ask kindly and are your friends, you might want to allow it for a short while, but it is understandable if you don't want it. Not the asshole. Ask your husband if he would be okay with random people patting his stomach or grabbing his ass. BTW, it's more effective to pat their stomachy back. They are they ones being awkward first. Not the asshole. A stranger touched you without your consent. You are not the but that stranger is, and so is your husband. First, for thinking it's okay, and second, for making you feel like you should have stood by passively and let it happen, and third, for thinking a man's feelings come before a woman's bodily autonomy and her well-being. He told me I should have just let the guy touch my bump quick and that I shouldn't have yelled at him. He said it's not that big of a deal. No. You should have yelled. It is not okay to gripe a stranger, it is a big deal. You are a person, not a commodity. I have touched one baby bump in my life, my mom's, and she was cool with it and I came out of there too. These people are creepy assholes. If I had a pregnant wife, I'd be blockguarding her. Not the asshole. People seem to lose all sense when they see pregnant women. No one has a right to touch your belly, especially a stranger. I think you handled it well. He told me I should have just let the guy touch my bump quick and that I shouldn't have yelled at him. He said it's not that big of a deal. Not his body, not his decision. No touchy when it's not yours. Simple. Goes for items, baby bumps, hair, pets, kids and fries. Just do fucking not. Not the asshole. I'd be seriously unhappy with the husband as well. Not the asshole. I feel weird asking to pet PPLS dogs. How TF are people walking up to strangers and asking to feel their baby bump? Not the asshole. I hated when anyone would touch my belly without permission when I was pregnant. When I didn't know the person, I'd end up just looking really shocked and said I'm not pregnant. Then they felt more awkward than I did. Smiley face. What kind of a husband tells his wife to just let other men touch her? Not the asshole. JFC. It's not a hard concept. Don't touch anyone without their permission. But especially don't touch the pregnant belly unless you want hardcore mama bear to come out. Honestly, I just start slapping hands and growling at people. Blame it on the hormones, but make them believe you will rip their hand off if they try again. Not the asshole. We're taught to keep our hands to ourselves in grade school. No one has the right to touch you without your permission. No one. Not the asshole. The fact that your husband didn't see the big deal is concerning. I had 1 or 2 incidents with strangers, old ladies, and I yelled and jumped back. Who cares if weird randos are offended? I even denied acquaintances when they asked. Sorry, I don't like being touched. If anyone got pushy, I'd say my body, my choice, and walk away. Good practice for later on when this type zoomed in on my baby and tried to kiss or grab her.